Hi, welcome to our latest bonus chat from our weekly pod recording. If you missed it, myself and David Cordial looked at both the Ireland senior men's and the Lions. Do check it out on Apple, Spotify, and all the other usual places. Now we're going to take a quick look at the Ireland under 20s. After getting maximum points against Georgia in the first round, Neil Doak's men needed something similar against the host nation to be in with the shout of the semifinals. And despite a late fight back, they couldn't claw back the Italians' early lead enough, falling short 18-16 with New Zealand up next. What did you make of it, David?
Yeah, it was a frustrating performance. I think for a couple of seasons there, we'd kind of gotten very used to um Ireland under 20s really showing and being a significant force in Six Nations and in World Championships. And both fortunately and unfortunately, it's the nature of the under 20s that they have a lot more churn than most teams do. Um, and so it's kind of inevitable that you're going to have a down year at some point. And this feels like, the Georgia game was a positive, but this kind of felt like a sort of a continuation of that. I think it's important to remember that if you want to take the positives in the broader sense. I think it's a good thing for Italian rugby that the Italians are showing up consistently. They got the win against Ireland back in the Six Nations as well. I think that was also, or no, it wasn't a 2 point, it was a 3 point win, but it was an hour enough win, but it was a win for the Italians there too. So, yeah, it just doesn't feel like a vintage year for the under 20s. And I would like to I think the inclination can sometimes be to go to say maybe it's not the players this and players that, but we've had good players come out of underperforming years. I would have concerns, and I don't want to get in on the man too much, but I would have concerns about the coaching. I think at this level, when you have players shifting every year and when the players are this young, I think so much of it comes down to the coaching. And I think we didn't realize just how much of a good job Richie was doing um, for all those years with the 20s, where just year after year after year he was producing good performances, even out of teams that weren't vintage teams, where we didn't have a lot of players going on at senior level. And it just kind of feels like Doak just isn't quite keeping up to the same level. I thought it was as I said before, a very impressive performance from the Italians. I thought they had some very impressive mauling, which drew parallels to their senior side doing the same thing against um, South Africa. From Ireland's point of view, and there were performances to look out for. I think it was Wood, was that Keith
Yeah,
Woods,
Tom Wood.
young
Yeah.
fella? I thought he had a reasonable enough performance, certainly in the first half anyway. Um, Trying to find a positive that we finished strong. I thought, it speaks a lot to the character of the players involved that it wasn't a great day and it was a struggle. And right up to the very end, they kept themselves in the game, in touch, and then to have that opportunity to finish with a draw after, and it would have felt a little bit unearned if we would have taken it all day long, but it would have felt a little unearned. And to push that hard and still get and manage to get over the line at the end there was I think, they'd be very frustrated, and I could see it on the face of the player. They were very frustrated not to get the draw in the end when they had managed to. You feel like getting across the line is the hard bit, just getting the conversion
Mm.
afterwards. Any kicker will tell you to F off with that kind of
Yeah, they were a man
talk.
down at the end as well.
Exactly,
Yeah.
you're down to 14 at that stage. I think in the moment they'll have been disappointed, but in hindsight they can take a lot from the character they showed to stay at that level. Because in a lot of these cases, with the players as young as they are, character is such a huge factor. Which is why I'm talking as much about that as I am about the rugby that was or wasn't really played. Look, it was. I think anybody who watched us in the Six Nations kind of knew that this was unlikely to be a season where we went for a seriously vintage run in the World Championship. Next up is going to be a very tough match, and um, I think if we can just focus on trying to put in as strong a performance, and I think that push at the end, that refusal to give up, will stand to the players as much as getting a win or a draw um, would have. So, um, was it an overly positive performance? I wouldn't say so, but I think there are positives to be taken from how we finished out the game, in what is a rough enough year for a team of fairly young lads.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to talk about the under 20s without feeling all, getting all like, oh, participation medals and all that, and sounding like you're a dad. Oh, you're all winners, kind of thing about it. But there is an element of that to the other 20s, whether you like it or not. I mean, it's about the experience of getting out there, putting on the green jersey. There's a reason why everyone plays 5 matches, no matter what. They place them from 1 to 12 because so they all get 5 matches, and that the last two are probably a little more competitive as well, because you're playing teams that had a similar performance in the pool phase. I mean, Ireland there's no getting away from it. They finished dead last in the Six Nations, so the expectations levels wouldn't have been as much. Now, in this particular game, I was frustrated because my biggest bugbear from the Georgia game was how we conceded the tries. They were set pieces where they just fell asleep. We get used to watching. We're used to watching Leinster and Ireland, where so much focus is on defending, and it's almost and just like the first phase off a set play. They were scoring over and over again. And then this time it was only 11 minutes in, and it was a simple enough play off a line out. And I think it was their number 8 just went right around and straight over past everyone and straight over the line for a try. That was really frustrating that hadn't been fixed. And like you say, that could have something to do with the coaching, the preparedness, or whatever as well. But it was just such a basic error. We tried to claw our way back. We were kicking penalties. It was like I think it was 8-3 or something at halftime. We sort of started to get our way back, but then the Italians mauled from the 22 for a try. It was a monster maul for the second try, and I think that developed the lead. I don't think we had thought there was any hope of coming back from there. If you told us that, I think it was with 20 minutes to go or something, they got that try. If you said that we'd have a kick to get a draw to this at that stage, you wouldn't have even thought it was in with a shout. But like you say, they did. There were positives. We did fight right up to the end. They got that try. It was just a shame. Sam, this is another Sam. Obviously, he missed that kick at the end. But this is what it's all about. It's about getting the arm around his shoulder and letting him know, getting him ready for the next game. He's a quality player as well. Him and Tom Wood, that's a good battle for the 10 jersey for the remainder of the competition. They've got the New Zealand coming up next during the week. Definitely won't be easy either, but it's just about getting through the 5 games. And a lot of these players is the back row. Michael Foy is always impressed. Anna McCarthy was the skipper. Some decent performances throughout the squad, just not that cohesion to put in a display that's going to get anything for these 2 matches. I mean, like I say, we got maximum points against Georgia, but they let slip 2 bonus points at the end as well. So there's obviously issues there. Hopefully, they'll be able to sort it out. They'll get a different crop in next year. But for this, it's definitely not a good start for the Neil Doak era. And he had a big act to follow after the success Richie Murphy had. But this definitely isn't a good start for sure.
Yeah, and I'd like to see, like, even if we can't get something in terms of medals or anything like that, you'd like to just see the lads. You can have a non-vintage year and still have great players come out of it. Like it's
Absolutely.
I think that's with the New Zealand game. I wouldn't even be at the point like if we can win, great. But I would like if we could just put in a good performance. If we can just like show up and like I remember watching an under 20s game with a friend a few years back, and it was a match we'd long won, and 80 minutes were on the clock, and Ireland had possession, and we kept playing. And my friends, like, having used to watching senior rugby on the occasion, they were like, "Why don't they just kick it out?" And I was like, "Because these lads might never get to play representative rugby again.
Yeah,
Like this
and
might be as far
plus
as
there's
they
the
go. And
bench.
they want it.
It's probably the bench on at that stage, and they
want
want
every
to show
minute of
Yeah,
it, and they're going to give it their all. And that's why you get,
yeah.
plays like the end where we got that try across. That's why you get a few years ago a young player called Jack Curley scoring from inside his own 22 with the clock in the red ran up the length of the pitch, because you never know when you get your shot again. And I think that if we can channel that attitude, whatever about the rest of the technical aspect of the coaching, then it'd be worth it to see what you can get out of, because there might be a handful of players in there who even on a bad day can show a little something special, and maybe we'll get to see more of them in the future. And I think that'd be both from an Irish rugby point of view, but then just from a for like a young lads who managed to made it this far in terms of representing the country. That'd be a great thing to see.
Absolutely. Okay, well, listen, we're going to leave it there. Many thanks to David for joining me. If you're watching this and have any thoughts yourselves on the Irish under-20s, do let us know in the comments. And while you're at it, also help us out by liking, sharing, and subscribing.